Yesterday, schedule reveal day in the NFL. All the teams have their 17-game slate set in stone. And one guy that's going to be getting to bed at a reasonable hour every single weekend this coming fall is Luke Johnson, covers the Saints for The Advocate, joins us on Thursdays. Luke, no primetime games. Are you stunned?
No. I'm the only thing that was surprising is that they have as much in like the afternoon slot, which like I just kind of figured I was going to be covering a season where they had like 14 noon games, you know, which is kind of what last year was. It was like nothing but noon games with like 2 primetime games. Makes sense. So, but no, not even remotely surprised that they don't have any primetime games because they're like not a fascinating team right now. I think maybe they got a little bit more interesting after Derek Carr retired. You know, they're probably going to be starting a rookie quarterback, but I think that happened way too late in the game for anybody in the network to really care about it.
And I don't know if they really want to put that on TV anyway, unless it's, the first overall pick. A second rounder is probably not going to move the needle a ton. I mean, usually on this day, we start talking about how you match up here and what about this short week and can you bounce back there? And like, oh, there's the 3 road games in a row. And like, does any of that matter for this Saints team?
I don't think so. I kind of felt a little bad last week when we were on our podcast and somebody's asked me what the best case scenario was. I'm like, is there one? Does it really matter? I mean, I don't think it necessarily does. The fact is that Vegas put their over under, point spread totals out for all 18 games for all 32 NFL teams, and the Saints are favored in 1 game. I think they're going to be a little bit better than that. I think they're going to be better than a 1-win team, but I don't think the way the schedule plays out really necessarily matters for this team.
I don't either. But I would say this, kind of to juxtapose it against a different point, is that it's a team that needs some young players to step up, and you'd probably rather do that against a schedule that's not the most brutal in the league. And when I look at the schedule, I realize it's the NFL, everybody's good, and you can't really account for injuries, but it's a fairly forgiving schedule. They have some spot. It doesn't look that difficult, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Do you find it that way?
I think it's a little bit harder. Look, it's a last place schedule, right? Like
yes.
They're going to face teams that struggled last year. I think they're like the total win percentage of the teams on their schedule from last year's teams, like it was like 42%, something like that. But like I think the 49ers are going to be better. I think the Cardinals have potential to be good. I think the Bears have potential to be a lot better with Ben Johnson. I think the division got better. Like there's a lot of things that like it's not like a super difficult schedule when you're looking at it just like face value. But I think it's more difficult than it's like a normal 4th place schedule would be.
And then the question, I guess, maybe the biggest thing that you would look for here is there like last year the front was so loaded. And if you say they signed a veteran quarterback, you might want to stick him out there for the first month and then go to the rookie when things lighten up, talking about last year's schedule. This year, do you feel like it's probably just send Tyler Shough out there at 26-year-old and let him sink or swim?
I mean, as long as he shows he's that guy in training camp, yeah. I don't know what you're going to really get out of if you think he's the guy. I don't know what you're going to get out of putting Spencer Rattler out there just to throw Shough in later. And I think, especially because you're looking at this as the team, I don't think is necessarily completely locked into Tyler Shough next year, right? Like if he goes out there and he's like doesn't show a bunch of promise, like there's nothing preventing you from taking an early draft pick next season. So I don't see the point in like delaying his arrival if he's the guy you think is the starter.
This is a ridiculous question to ask in May, but I'm prone to those, as you well know at this point. How do you think the Superdome is going to react to this season?
I actually think that at least early on, which is like weirdly when most of their home games are, I mean, I think there's going to be some optimism, at least like maybe not optimism like, yeah, we're going to be a good team this year, but like optimism like, hey, it's something new and different. And it's like the two guys that were hated most by the fan base are gone, Dennis Allen and Derek Carr. It's a chance to see what Kellen Moore can do. It's a chance to see what a rookie quarterback can do, maybe. And I think there's going to be at least some excitement to see what it looks like. Who knows how long that lasts? If it's a disaster early, maybe we're back to people showing up to the dome with bags in their heads this year. I don't know. But I think there's at least a chance for this to be early on, like some good atmospheres in the Superdome, some good vibes in the Superdome, and we'll see if it holds up over the course of the year.
Because I'll paint this picture like week one, you've got Arizona, who I don't think is going to be a great team. Like they could be better than they were last year. Like Kyler Murray's fine, whatever. Like I don't think they're going to be great. And then you've got San Francisco, who could be very good, obviously. But then your third and fourth home games are the Giants and the Patriots, who were terrible last year. And then you go to the end of the season when maybe Shough's starting to find a little bit of traction and got people have put the playoff hopes potentially away, and you're just trying to see if there's some development in a quarterback. And you play the Panthers and the Jets, who I don't think are going to be very good. So, like, there's a potential for some early season decent vibes with some lesser teams, and then late in the season, maybe as the pressure cooker goes away, you could see some decent performances to kind of push this team into what we hope to be an exciting and encouraging offseason next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the hope, right? And I said that we just got done recording a podcast, and I said this on our show today that like I don't think anybody should be going into this with expectations that they're going to be like a competitive, potential like playoff dark horse team. I think that'd be unrealistic and unreasonable to take all these things that we don't know about Kellen Moore as a head coach, Tyler Shough as a quarterback, what this Brandon Staley defense is going to, and assume all of it's going to look good. But while I think you should go into the season with low expectations, I think there's a chance that they outpace those expectations, and that Tyler Shough is ready to be a good quarterback as a rookie, and that Kellen Moore is ready to be an NFL head coach, and that Brandon Staley is still that dude as a defensive play caller. So like, early growing pains, I would totally expect it, but like I think that to your point, like by the end of the season, like it could look good, and it could give you some kind of optimism for what this could be later on. As this team kind of grows together.
We'll see. This is another ridiculous question, but you got a thought on a win total potentially as now that you kind of looked at it on paper and what the schedule will actually look like week to week?
Yeah, so we just did this exercise today, and I picked him at 6 wins, which I feel like is probably on like the high end of where I would like if I'm just picking like a win-loss total at this stage of the year. It's probably on the high end, but like I feel like somewhere between 4 and 6, right? And with like optimism that they could potentially supersede that. We'll see. There's just, like I said, so much like potential variance with this team. But if like Kellen Moore is the goods, and if Tyler Shough is okay, and if they stay healthy, if it could look a lot better. I just don't think you should be expecting that.
That might be the sweet. I haven't even thought about this, but now that you say it, my brain starts spinning. If they were to win 6 games, that would indicate that because they don't have more talent than 6 of the teams they're going to play, and if they do that, the quarterback's got to function, and the coach probably does a decent job, and you're probably got a pretty good pick in next year's draft, and like that. I mean, it's if you win 2 games, that's hard to like bring a ton of optimism out of, and even though you would pick high in the draft. And I don't expect them to win 10 games. I think that's unreasonable. So, like, 6, that might be like a sweet spot of like, okay, that was a transition year. It wasn't a lot of fun, but, like, there's some optimism there.
Yeah. I think you could talk me into, like, a 5 or 6 win season with some good points that you can build on. And there's going to be a room for this team to really legitimately add to the roster in the next 2 seasons. So just, like, whatever the records are this year, to quote Mickey Loomis, we'll look beyond the record this year, and just focus on like, did you show me some signs of growth, something you can build around? Did you hit on this draft class? Are there good young players on this roster? I think there are more good young players on this roster than there have been in a while, but like they're unproven. So just show me that there's something there with these guys, and that this coaching staff has takes to lead a successful NFL franchise. Even if that results in a 5 or 6 win season, that's okay, because at least gives me a little bit of optimism for the future.
You mentioned you all just recorded a podcast. Let everybody know where they can find that.
Yeah, you can find it on all of your podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, and we also do we stream it on YouTube. So that should post about 3:00 today at saints@nola.com.
Awesome. We appreciate the time, Luke. Thanks, man.
My pleasure, man. Talk to you later.
He is Luke Johnson covering the black and gold. Looking at the schedule, and I wasn't going to do 2 segments on the Saints schedule today because I think that it may merit that if they were coming off an NFC Championship berth. They've got a first-time head coach and a rookie quarterback, so I'm not going to do that. But, I can see a world where you start to maybe turn a corner after the bye, and you've got a week 15 at home against the Panthers, week 16 at home against the Jets, and then week 17 at the Titans. Those 3 teams figure not to be very good, and maybe that's kind of where you start to see some positivity moving towards the future. And I think if the Saints go 6-11 and 3 of those wins come in the last 4 weeks, and you start to see Shough, look like a guy that can maybe help, and Kellen Moore looks representative of a coach that has got some things figured out and is moving things in the right direction, and you got 6 wins, so you're probably picking in the top 6 of the draft, and you may be able to add a big-time piece right there, and then all of a sudden a lot of money starts getting freed up with Derek Carr being gone, and all of a sudden, you may start to push off the dock here. You're very firmly, tethered to the dock right now. There's a path here, and it's optimistic, I think, to find a way off. And so we'll see if the Saints can do that moving forward. If you're looking for our Saints content, you can always find it Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your podcast, and certainly on YouTube. Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.